Italian?
Handsworth.
Oh yes.
Rookery Road School, I'm going to mention that.
Rookery, yeah, definitely. It's really prominent now, Rookery Road. It's still a prominent place.
Ask me about the
I'm
school.
going to ask you about schools.
Yeah.
What it was like being a Greek child, being the Greek kids in the class, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I said we got 40. So there's 40 minutes on this camera. So the whole thing's going to be about 40 minutes. So I'll give you a 10-minute warning.
Please, yeah.
All good. You can see. Panikos, do you want to sit in or are you staying out here or up to you?
There's loads of oranges over. We can't get rid of them oranges. Help yourselves.
Just been together.
My husband's not allowed to eat them. I don't know what he wanted me to buy them.
Yeah.
But he's only allowed to have a couple of slices a day.
Yeah.
So is it one kidney or two kidneys?
Well, they're both. It doesn't. You only go when when they're both bad. They don't work. If one works, you're still alive. Yeah, Amathus.
Okay.
Yeah, μπορώ να μιλώ όλη νύχτα τους λίγο, άνετα. Μπορώ να τους μιλώ όλη νύχτα άνετα.
Good.
Έχει τόσες πολλές ωραίες ιστορίες.
When I saw your mum yesterday on the DVD, you look like her.
What DVD?
Well, I saw it on Facebook.
Make sure in the answers repeats the question.
Okay, yeah.
Otherwise, no one knows what's going on.
Τι να βάλω την καρέκλα μποδά.
Oh, but the hell is coming to the hell. Do what you feel. Guys, you got enough ice out there, listen to it. Just,
Ένα μασόζι να ακούγεται η μάσα.
Oh, I see.
Can I start straight away, yeah?
You've got questions or are you just going off?
No, I'll just go off. But yeah, fine, just in case I forget anything. Yeah. So if you could just start off by telling us your full name, your maiden name, and what year you were born, and in which village. And
yes. Well, my name is Vasoulla. It used to be Vasoulla Ilia, but now it's Vasoulla Ilia. My married name is Vasoulla Ilia. So I was Vasoulla Christou Ilia. I was born in 1947 in November. I went to England when I was 8. We went by ship with my mother and brothers and sisters because my father was already there. Yes, and...
Can you tell me about that journey?
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
Yes, we were in the ship. I remember, I get seasick, I do. But I remember making friends with a little Australian girl. Oh, yeah, with a little Australian girl. And I remember in the train, when we left the ship, we were in the train and we saw children. First time I saw snow and children playing snowball. We were wrapped in sheets, all our knees and that, because it was February. We left Cyprus on the 28th of February 1956. Yeah.
And who did you travel with?
My mother and 7 brothers and sisters. 7 with me. And there was one here, 8, and she had one in England as well. My mum and dad had a daughter in England.
Thea, sorry Christina. Thea, you know on the day you left, did your mum and dad say goodbye to anyone?
Well, oh yeah.
And
well, when my mother left, she didn't know she would never come back. Like, unless it was a holiday. So most of the Greek ladies used to leave their house nicely cleaned up and decorated with the little cups and saucers and everything in the cupboards. And yeah, she had all the neighbours to say bye-bye to. Yeah,
was your Bapuya around?
No, I've never had a grandfather. I've never met a grandfather. And only one grandmother I had. She must have been here.
So what did the villagers think, that you were just going?
Well, it was the thing done. If your husband went over there to have a job, then the children and the wife would follow, wouldn't they?
Did your father go before? No, you all went together.
My brother went first when he was 17. Then maybe it was a year and a half later, my father went, and they used to work in the factory in Vono that made the beds. Yeah, and then one of my uncles used to have a fish and chip shop, and he used to lend money to a lot of people that couldn't afford much. and he lent my father £200, I think, and they put a deposit and bought the house in Handsworth. Grove Hill Road was the number 30, Grove Hill Road.
What did you think when you first saw where you're going to be living?
Well, it was nice. It's all right for the children. I was only 8, but for my mum it must have been a bit difficult not speaking the language, because you're closed up, especially in the winter. No central heating in that. We used to have a coal fire. We had a nice house actually, a coal fire. Must have been a bit difficult for her.
Did you ever see her upset? Or?
No. Well, also she had all her children, a lot of children. It was when she must have been a bit lonely when we went to school, or we all went to school, didn't we?
Did you start school straight away?
Well, yes, I did.
What do you remember of that first day?
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember the first day, but I do remember a lot about the school. We used to pay 5 shillings for school dinners. We used to get a little bottle of milk for our break. And we had a teacher, Mrs. Bird, her name was, and she took me and my sister into the hall and taught us English. So it was very nice. We made friends. I made an English friend. Oh dear. Her name was Valerie Timbrell, and I used to go to her house. She was an only child. Yeah, it was very nice. We had a lot of friends, you know. There was at the school. It was my brother. Yeah, he went to a senior school.
You still keep in contact with this girl?
No, I've never met her since.
Yeah.
Because I went to Handsworth Wood Girls' School, just girls.
So what's that?
It was a new school.
What's that water noise?
Oh yeah, Banners
Must be
Vivies, I
chocolate,
didn't
it's
know.
gonna be
It must
like
be. Yeah.
Oh, is it? So she said, yeah. Oh, is it the tap leaking?
No. Anyway, the school was, like I said, it was Rookery Road School. And it was a lovely area. We used to go to the cinema, the cinema they used to have on Saturday morning.
So you got a bit of freedom, right?
Oh, we were safe. It was a safe England them days. I remember going to the cinema with my younger brothers and sisters, and I had 7 and 6 to pay for the cinema. Somehow it disappeared. I lost it. And we were in this road. Antropos Road it was, I think, in Handsworth. And I was looking for the money, and this man comes along, young man, and he says, "What are you looking for?" We told him we lost the money, and he gave us 7 and 6.
Oh.
And then I found the money. Then I found the money. There must have been a hole in my eye. I found it in the hem of my coat or whatever.
Did you find him to give the money back?
Oh no, I don't know who he was, do I? But I always say a prayer for him.
You said that you would love to get in contact with your friend.
Well,
Well,
yeah. Well, she's 71 now, isn't she? I was 71 on Monday. Yeah, she's 71.
You never know. She might say this.
Yes, so it was a good life. And then after Handsworth Wood, we moved we bought a fish and chip shop in Quinton, Stanley Road, Quinton. So it was lovely working in the fish shop.
Did you ever encounter any racism or anything like that? Or?
No, we didn't. It was all English people there. But we didn't have, we were always accepted. Wherever we went, we were accepted.
What about Theo when you went to school and you didn't speak English?
Well, I couldn't, didn't take me long to learn.
No.
When I was 14, I was embarrassed to speak Greek.
No, it's reversed.
See, because there's a lot of us, like brothers and sisters, we were talking English all the time. But my mum couldn't speak English, or my father. So we used to speak Greek as well, obviously, to people we used to meet.
So you used to translate for your mum and dad? They used to be the translator?
Yeah, I did. Went to the doctors. I used to take her to the doctors, yeah. I did.
So did you work out in the chip shop then?
Yeah, I did. When I was 13, we bought the fit chip shop, so I worked in there till I was 18 when I got engaged. And
did you not want a career, or was you just that wasn't the way? You picked up English, you said, quick.
yes, I did. Yes, I used to go shorthand typing. They don't do shorthand anymore.
I do.
Oh, do you? Really? Do they still do it?
Not typing, but shorthand.
It's
Right.
other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be quite good at that to begin with, and then I went to another school. I didn't want to do anything. I was interested in finding a shop that sold clothes. I was interested in ladies' fashion, but we ended up in the fish shop, and I don't regret it really. I don't regret it. So it was a good life. My mum and dad are good people.
How about when you met your husband?
Yes.
Did you have proxemia? How did
It was. My father liked my husband. Don't forget, we come the neighbour villages, and they knew the families. My father used to be a tailor in Cyprus, and John, my husband, was a tailor in England. So he used to go to this where he used to work, because he used to know the man who owned the tailors there as well. So once he used to be a lodger at our house. Gabnissis, his name.
Well, I hear this Gabnissis.
Yeah, and now Gabnissis is quite famous in Birmingham, isn't it? And
So your husband was a tailor and he worked in the shop. What?
no, he was a tailor. He wasn't
His
in
trade
his trade.
before the chip shop was a tailor. No.
Well, the chip shop was when I wasn't married, was ours.
Ah, of course.
But his mum and dad had a chip shop, but he didn't used to work in the chip shop. He was a tailor, so he worked as a tailor for many years. And when my daughter was 2 months, and she's 48 now, we had our own fish and chip shop. The tailor had no money. People couldn't afford to buy the suits; they'd just leave it there until they could. So we ended up with a fish and chip shop like everybody else. And
Where is your shop? First shop?
Dudley Road, by the
farm?
hospital. It was in Northbrook Street, the first one we had, and then they were going to knock them down, and we moved up to just up a little bit, about 200 yards further up. We rented a shop there. The Frying Pan it was. It's a very famous fish and chip shop, the Frying Pan. Everywhere we go in England, we meet people from the chippy now. Not long ago, a couple of years ago, when I went to England, I got mixed up with the ticket. We were supposed to leave at 5 in the afternoon, but somehow, from before we left, we thought it was 12 at midnight. So then just something said to me, go and check your ticket. 20 minutes later, go and check your ticket. I went and checked, and it was for 5 o'clock, and this was 4 o'clock.
Oh, no.
We only had an hour, but I was packed anyway. So I said to my son, it's Andrew, I said, Andrew, I made a mistake, it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, the plane takes off. So we ran as fast as we could, and when I got to the checkpoint, there was nobody there for hours. But luckily, there was 2 other people, and they were very pleasant, smiling and everything, and they sorted us out. The one man sorted me out. Because we were late as well, he wanted to remember my birthday a few times. Anyway, this was only giving us now minutes, as time was going by. So then we go to the... you can turn that off if you like. Or,
No,
is it? Oh, in Gruz.
Oh,
God. You can chop things off, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It smells good. Maybe there isn't it? Do you want us to turn it off?
It can go in Napsihul because they were frozen. I'm going to lower it. We should lower it a little
Do
bit
you want
more.
to know if you?
Just a little bit more. It's the second one. Yeah. Anyway, we went to where to give our number for the plane, And the girl in charge was a coloured girl named Yvonne. She saw Andrew as well. You're from the Chippy, aren't you? I said, yes. We're very late. So she says, she left her chair where she worked, got somebody else to do it. My husband was in a wheelchair, ran as fast as she could. I was lagging behind with my bag and everything. She says, can you cope? I says, yeah, I can cope. So then she saw this other man. She says, take this wheelchair, whatever, I don't know what his name was, and put this lady in and follow me. So I ended up in a wheelchair. We ran as fast as we could. We got there. The plane, there was nobody in the plane, by the way, because we didn't have to go in the waiting room. We went there, and this other man said, because we changed hands by then, she didn't take us right to the end. He said, now relax and just wait here for 1 minute. They had a ribbon in front of the plane so nobody could go in. So we went there, waited for 1 minute, and we made it. What I mean to say is, we found somebody there as well that we knew from the Chippy, because it was sold by then.
So when did you sell the chip shop?
Well, some years ago, because now the boys have got, they're doing the Pirifino chickens now. Have you tried them? Have you been?
I know where the
Yeah.
window box.
Yeah, so they sold that, and Andrew started the Pirifino. He invented the recipe by himself.
That's good. What did you go? When did you first come back to Cyprus to visit after you left?
Oh,
Cyprus?
actually, because I was married with children, 22 years after we went, I came. Yeah, for a holiday. When with my husband, it was lovely. We all came together. That was the only time we had a holiday, all the family together.
How did you feel coming back home? How did you feel coming back to Cyprus?
Well, look, I was only 8, and I didn't it wasn't. I was happy in England. My husband's good. My parents. I was perfectly happy in England. I wasn't homesick or anything. I was only 8. I remember my childhood here, which was good here as well.
I'll get you to talk about that as well, but I just want to know what was on the news and the radio when all the problems
Oh,
in
that.
Cyprus.
Oh.
What did you hear about in England? Did
Yes.
you worry about it? Did your parents worried about it?
Yeah, everybody was crying. This day was on the 4th, was it the 4th of August or the 14th of August, wasn't it? Well, it was a Sunday. We went to a wedding. One of our good friends, we went to the wedding. And while we went to the wedding, we found out about the Braxigobima. And everybody was crying and worried. We were all upset because a lot of people died, very upsetting. And we helped a lot as well after, our first Christmas after the 14th of August. We said no presents this year. So all the money that we had, we'd send it over here.
What?
Yeah, it was upsetting. But a lot of people did help from abroad, not just England, all over the world. They all helped. They sent clothes, and some even found money in the pockets.
What was on TV? What were you watching on TV? What was it showing? What was BBC showing? Do you remember?
Yeah, it just showed.
Turkish tanks or?
Yeah.
Do you remember when people started to arrive in Birmingham from? I suppose there wasn't loads of refugees, was there? But do you remember anything of people coming?
We know a lot of people were coming, but then I was a mother with 4 young children. Like Stavro. How old? Wait a minute. This was 1974. My son was born in 1968. So he was only 6, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then Chris was 5. And then my daughter was 4. And then I had the baby as well, Andro was 3. Well, he must have been 2, because in 5 years I had the 4 children. was it 4 years or 5? I can't remember. 4 years. So I had 4 young children to look after. Obviously, I was watching the news and going to church and things like that. But yeah, and I know a lot of people that came.
What was it like, obviously being? Did you carry on working the shop, like as a woman and a mother, and keeping the business going? Talk a little bit about that for me. About
yes.
What was your day kind of like?
Yes. Right. We bought the fish shop when my daughter was 2 months old, so I didn't have the youngest one. He came along later, and yeah, we worked it together with my husband. The children used to take the children to school, and I was working. We used to live in the flat upstairs. We used to live in that house. You know, it was a house kind of thing in Northbrook Street, and I worked there for quite a long time. Yeah. When we bought a house later. So when we bought the house, I used to work on. I didn't used to work in the nights. I'd go home and look after the children. I'd just do the dinner time, except on Wednesdays, which was Silla one day. Used to go to. Your John used to go to the community centre, the Greek community centre. He used to go there on Wednesdays. Yeah, I worked.
That was the man's thing to do then, was it?
Yes. Well, it was good. It was just one night out. And then he started singing in the church as well. So we were regular goers at the church, which was a good thing. My children are quite religious. I'm thankful for that. Yeah.
Do you remember when the first church was set up in Birmingham?
Well, it was there when we got there.
Because it wasn't, yeah.
It was there when we got there. I know.
Vasoulla Andreas, yeah.
Yeah, Vasoulla Andreas. No. Mi si ostisteo. Dopo c'è Vasoulla Andreas, isn't it? Yeah, the church was already there. Before us, they had. Anyway, it was already there, the church. And then we had another one in. We had an old calendar church in Erdington, and then we had another church in Sutton Coldfield, and then it moved to Erdington. It's a big community centre. That's Apostolo Luca. Yeah. So we've got 2 churches and the old calendar.
Because the community
In
got bigger,
Birmingham.
didn't it?
Yeah.
And then what about when your children started to grow up? Obviously, you didn't get a chance to have, or you didn't want a career. What was it like having that with your daughter? Did you encourage her to have a career?
There's a bit of. My daughter got married, and her husband took her 2 years training as a beautician, and she's a very good beautician now. She's done very well. Now with the boys, these are the regrets in life. Stavro did go. I did take him to a college, but he decided to come out of it because I think my husband was a little bit sort of moaning that he had a good business and his children were not there, which is a very big mistake. He does regret it now, so the other children didn't follow, but they're doing all right now. Yeah.
They're encouraged to take on the family business.
Pardon?
They're encouraged to
Yeah,
take on the.
they are, and we're very lucky to have such good children. All 4 of them are very good children.
So your daughter, did she marry you?
Yeah, she's married to from Anaphodia. He's a nice man, and my son Stavros got you know Chriso.
Yes.
We're going to see you better after this.
Pardon?
Maritza.
Yeah, she's my Bethera.
We're interviewing her now.
Yeah,
after you.
after me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chriso's a nice girl as well. They've got 5 children. Yeah, and Andrew's got 1.
How many grandchildren do you have altogether?
7.
This is this one.
Yes.
Was there any pressure on parents in the way that kids were brought up on, with their daughters marrying them off and that kind of thing?
We didn't have any pressure at all. My mother and father were people of the world. They were not old-fashioned. Well, we were good girls. We didn't go out with anybody. That wouldn't be accepted. It wasn't accepted. But we were good girls. We knew what was expected of us. So we were good girls. But they were people of the world. If I fell in love with somebody, somebody that in the shop or something, they wouldn't. They would want to know who it was. They wouldn't be too against it. My father never used to criticise anybody. Like say a girl had a child without being married or something. He'd never criticise. Just things like that. They were people of the world.
And
They
what about,
were
were you
old-fashioned.
quite lenient if your daughter say didn't want to marry anyone in the community, or how were you and your husband quite open-minded about that living in England? If your daughter didn't
Well,
want
so they live in England now, don't they? All our
No,
children.
but before, as they
Yes.
were growing up.
If my daughter also knew what was expected of her, and she didn't go out with anybody, and we wouldn't have wanted that anyway. We wouldn't have wanted it, but she didn't want it anyway. Yeah, so we brought them the way I was brought up, but we were not strict.
Do you think that's harder when you're living in a different country to try and keep the values and the culture
Yeah.
and tradition? What kind of culture and tradition did you want to keep? What were the things that were important to you? Was it like weddings, was it christenings? Some of the traditions that you really wanted to uphold in your house?
We kept our things in Birmingham. We kept them. It's only just these last few years that people are more going out together, and the boys and the girls are more free now. But it's only the last few years, isn't it? What about you?
What were things important to you? Like, was it the Greek weddings, or what did you enjoy
Oh,
most
well,
about the culture?
religion's the first important thing, I think. Well, it is now, to have faith and follow the way that God wants us to live, good life, be good people. Yeah, and just take things like, you just don't really think about them.
And Greek school.
Greek
Send you a
school,
course?
yeah, I used to go to Greek school. I had 1 year here, and I finished my 1 year here, Brodin-Daxin, the first class, and I did quite well actually. And then it was the beginning of the year, because it was February when we went, and we went to the school in England. It was in the church, and it was very nice. We had good teachers as well. We had a good priest, Padre Athinagoras. He was very good. He used to love all children, teaching us dances and everything. Yeah, we used to keep all the traditions and all the days, like 28th of October, all the days, used to keep them.
Yeah, you talk about traditions, sorry Christina. On your wedding day,
Yeah.
we said dinasi.
Umendina. Oh,
Tell us a
yeah.
bit about that day, because that's such an emotional day.
Yeah.
So when your parents were there, tell us like you're reliving that moment. How was it? Did you have violins?
Yeah, we did, yeah. It wasn't an emotional day, it was a happy day.
Can you start off by saying my wedding day? So it's
Oh yeah. Right, my wedding day was on the 11th of June. They dressed me at home. We had violins and men saying songs. What do you call them? Wedding songs. Chat. Oh God, I better say this one right. You have to get it. And yeah, it was.
Did you walk out the house, out of your parents' house?
11th of June, yes. We had an engagement in that house as well, and yeah, this was in. Yeah. Right. Well, we were dressed up, and the night before that, we were cooking at my mother-in-law's house, all the food, because we had to take our own food then. And
Where did you get married?
oh, do you know, it was the ceremony was the party was in Coventry, Matrix Hall. That's where they used to get married in those days.
But you got married at Apostolo Andreas?
Yes, we did, yes. We got married at Apostolos Andreas. That's the only church we had when I got married in 1967.
So Thea, you know, you're in the frying pan. Frying pan being in Hockley, that area.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any trouble in the shop?
Pardon?
Did you ever have any trouble in your shop?
No.
No? Okay.
We were loved in that fish shop because, first of all, it was a tailor shop and people used to watch the children growing up, and all our customers, we watched them grow up as well. So we were there a long time. Little children used to come and then they got married, had children. They were still our customers. So it was really nice. We didn't have any trouble in the shop. If anybody wanted to do trouble, there'd be somebody to save us.
How do you think Birmingham's changed now over the years?
Well, it's changed. You sort of gradually see it changing, don't you? I'll tell you about something in the fish shop, like. Well, I sold somebody a very hard place. Rock hard it must have been. And this customer has it. I shouldn't have sold it, but anyway, I didn't realise. Sometimes you serve very fast. And it was rock hard, so he comes back, ready for trouble. And this Irishman whispers in his mind something. So he was very polite and he left. He probably said to him, don't make trouble here, because you're dead if you do.
So people had your back.
Pardon?
People had your back. They looked
Yeah, but we had a way, like I have a way as well with people. If somebody was grumpy or I just had a way with them, I'd make them feel better. So we made friends with everybody, no trouble. We knew how to avoid trouble. Yeah.
Were there any particular communities that migrated into Birmingham when you were there, like Polish or different communities, or was it all?
Polish were there years before we went, I think, the Polish. Yeah. It's just like a lot of Indians and from Pakistan people. They increased. Yeah.
And what do you remember of the Handsworth riots?
Oh yeah. Well, it was just on the news part of
You didn't see any of it?
No, we didn't, because it was in. We used to live in that. That was our shopping road, Handsworth. But by then we'd left, and it was only probably one day. Wasn't all the time, the riots.
But it's just what you saw on the news or anything?
Yes.
And what about also, that's, I don't know if you remember in 74, that's when the pub bombings happened, the IRA in Birmingham. Do you remember anything about that?
Well, we just watched everything on the news. We don't like it, obviously, but they happened.
But that wasn't any particular...
Well, thank God we didn't have anybody that we knew in the bombs. It's very sad. Obviously, we get upset when we hear riots or a plane crashing or something. We get upset for the people, don't we? Can you turn the gas off, please? Because I think I got listen a lot. Just the second one. That's it, thank you. You can look if you like, there's a saucer on top. You can have some if you like. But there's too many.
Burning, is it?
There's too many there for my husband because they went drogreastora. I would see, bravo. But my husband's not
I'm not
allowed.
so good.
Huh? But does see?
Yeah, I eat meat.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can have that if you like.
What do you miss about Birmingham being in Cyprus now? And what do you like being in Cyprus, like living in Cyprus? What do you miss about Birmingham?
Only my children, my family. I think I came a bit too soon. Maybe I should have waited another couple of years or something.
When did you move back here?
96, 97, February 96.
What do you love most about the island?
Well, I like nature, I like Cyprus, I like the weather. Yeah, but I also liked England. See, so long as my family is happy, I don't mind where I am. England was a lovely country. We enjoyed being in England, and I like Cyprus as well. I'm quite a placid person, yeah. And we didn't want a television when we came because we wanted to enjoy the nature of Cyprus. I didn't want to carry on with television and serials, so we didn't have a television for the first 13 years we were here. And now it's 23 years already.
You've been in Cyprus?
Yeah.
You know, Theos, he's
Yeah.
such a big character.
Yeah.
He's hysterical. So when you first met him, you didn't. What did you think? Was it a lightning bolt love?
Oh, yeah. We liked each other because we must have seen each other on the day that they were going to come for the proxenia. It was an introduction, really. It wasn't proxenia, was it? Introduction. And I had the freedom to refuse or whatever. We were not pressed. And I went to church and he was at church. He looked at me, you know, and his brother there, she's over there. And then they came with the mother and father and the grandfather and the people who did it was Magila and his wife. They came as well.
From
They're
from Vasoulla, aren't they?
Yeah, Anafadia. Did you ever meet them? Maybe
Yeah.
you did.
I met them. So you know when he first spoke to you,
Yeah.
what did he tell you that signed the deal?
Oh, well, the
You
grandfather.
thought
No, the grandfather. Well, they asked me if we liked each other. What can you say after you've just met? But we said yes.
Were you allowed to go for a little walk to talk to each other?
We were allowed to do whatever. We were not strict, as I said. It wasn't strict. We were talking together after. But the grandfather made, he says, you know the reason we've come here, don't you? And my mum said, yes, of course we do. And is everything all right? Have you got anything to say or to?
Were you nervous?
No, I'm not a nervous person actually. No, and on Monday he came round, and on Tuesday we went out.
Where did you go?
We went to see The Sound of Music. It was new in those days. We went to see The Sound of Music and then we went to a restaurant. He used to take me to the best restaurants. We'd never go out and not go to a restaurant. Yeah.
So he wined and dined you.
Yeah, yes, he is a good person, yeah, good husband.
Yeah, just to round this off, I've got a killer question. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self now? Have a think.
Oh, that one's difficult, isn't it?
So if you're 20, if Christina was you, and she's
Yeah.
20, you look 20.
But this is to myself.
Yeah.
Yourself, yeah. With everything that you've lived, you sound like, because we've interviewed loads of women, and some of the women, they've lived a difficult life. It sounds like because you migrated, you had a happy life, and it was all well prepared for you, and that's great. But you're a lot more wiser now than your 20-year-old
Yes,
self.
of course.
So there's your 20-year-old
I
self.
have made mistakes. I had my first child when I was 20. No regrets. My husband was good, and my children are good. That's lovely. I was very happy. Now, my husband became a gambler later, and that wasn't nice for me. And maybe that shouldn't go on. I don't really know.
No, we'll put that on.
Anyway.
We'll put it after.
Yeah. And I've brought my children well, good manners and everything, but their education was the one thing that I should have put my foot down with. I should not have allowed it.
So if you were talking to your 20-year-old self, you would say that push your children through education.
Yes. The 20 is because you're just starting life. Then you haven't got any problems when you just start, have you?
What was what was your glory years that you look back and you think, oh, I wish I was that age again, or I wish I was reliving that again?
I've never said that. I'm happy with life. No, I do get a bit stressed with John.
Yeah.
Because he's
listen.
ill.
He doesn't listen.
No, he suffers. He suffers a lot because he's got this thing in his head and it's headache and Sally. And he's a very hard man to. But he's got a lot of love. He's got so much love. This man,
It's like a teddy
so
bear.
much love for his children and for me. We're very much in love. But he's not well, so I have to fetch everything. He can't get up and get a glass of water, and he might not be well at night, so I have to get up. Things
But don't
like
you
that.
think, even if he was well, do you not think, I mean, I feel like that growing up, that women do have to do more of in the house with the kids, and I still have a career.
Well, actually, today the girls are not as good as we, but not you. The new girls, no. The girls today, with one little fight, they're off, divorce, and they leave their children. Now, we've had problems, but we lived through them, and we're very happy together. We're happy.
People don't.
I don't complain about much. I'm happy, and even if I work hard to look after him, that's I'm supposed to do that. We're married for better or worse, but he's a good man and he does appreciate me.
So what advice?
We're happy.
What advice there would you give to the 20-year-olds of our community?
The younger generation.
The younger generation.
Well, some of the it's usually marriage, isn't it? They have to work things out and not to fool around a lot. I don't like some of the fashions they wear as well. Some of them, they hardly wear anything. I don't like that.
So your advice is to dress
Appropriately.
appropriately.
Yes, that is. Yeah, you know, you should put that down, because.
Yeah, I'm telling you another piece.
My advice to our generation.
To the young girls.
So start again.
My advice to the young ladies of today is to dress well as well. It's important to dress nicely, not to show too much of your body, top or bottom. Really, I don't like that in girls today. And to be not to fool around. I don't like the girls to fool around. And the boys as well should be respectful to and to their parents, and the girls respectful to their parents and grandparents, and and behave and be grateful to their parents.
What's the key?
And the children.
What's the key to a successful marriage? Money.
You do need patience.
You say the key to a successful marriage. You have to repeat my question.
Oh yeah.
So the key to a successful marriage, and then carry on.
Well, the key to a successful marriage: make sure you choose the right person in the first place. Yeah. So if you do love the person before you get married, obviously there's going to be little problems during that time, so you have to work them out together, and not to fool around. The husband or the girl should not fool around. They looked after the house, both of them, and
Okay.
and any little problem that they have to work it out together, not say, I don't love you anymore, let's divorce, especially when there's children. A marriage should be taken seriously because it's a ceremony in church, it's a religious ceremony, and you should take it seriously.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't go through it. Yeah.
That's a good way to end.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you.
Well, it hasn't been...
You're really well spoken. You sound like the queen.
Natural. Ese es natural, ese filiso.
get rid of some of the rubbish.
Oh, don't worry, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget, if it's a documentary,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I did
know.
everything.
only some clips of that will be on the...
Ned, so I know you're not going to have all this down because it's too long.
Yeah, no.
People get bored.
But
Just have the best bits.
yeah, Dave, we still have this footage. That if your family want it as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I wish
yeah.
I wish I had my grandparents on. You know, my aunt would have been brilliant at this, wouldn't she? Yeah.
All good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, John? Ah. He's going to get you drunk now.
Alright if I get that mic off here?
Oh, yeah.
You still get it.
I didn't know I had this. Have you tried it up or something? Yeah. Yeah, we see people on telly reviews on that.
Brilliant, thanks a lot.
Okay.
How
Well,
was
it was
it?
a
Was it
very
good?
long interview.
Oh, 50 minutes that was.
Was it? Really?
Yeah.
Hi,
was
guys.
it?
I think I've... Well, you can try a Greek meal. Yes, John? Do these, who's driving?
Panikos?
Panagiotis.
Yeah. I'm just going to
What do
start.
you call him? You call him Panagiotis?
No, I'm going to start calling him Panagiotis.
What do you call him?
Panikos.
Panikos.
Yeah.
That's a horrible name. Panikos.
I agree.
In English, it's pizza.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Good point, Peter.
Ah.
Go on, Pete.